your business up, you want to know your personal reasons. And we'll go into this in the second half, okay, as a business coach when I'm working with my clients and changing all their strategies around becoming a peak performer and a business leader. So the first one is your life purpose. Your personal purpose. Now, when I start working with a business owner, I go, well, what's your personal purpose, reason for having this business? And go, oh, well, I hated my job, and I got out, and I thought I'd go IT consulting, or I was the CFO, and now I think I'll be a consultant for small businesses. So they're moving away from discomfort, to start their own business. I said, that's not what I asked you. I said, what's your personal reason for? And they look at you blankly. Yeah? So what is your personal reason for having a business? Now, here's the secret to goal setting. You never, ever set a goal involving someone else. Never set a goal involving someone else. Why would I say that? Anyone got any answers? Spot on. It's out of your control. Yeah? Very, 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 very important. You might say, I'm doing this for my kids, or I'm doing this for my partner, and I'm doing this and that. What we're doing as well, we're pushing our values onto these people. And that disconnects relationships. But when you're living in purpose, you set your goal. One of my goals is to become X, Y, and Z, a great personal presenter on stage. Or I want to, drive a Formula One car. Your own personal goals that take you on your own journey. Because at any moment, anyone can leave your life. What happens to your goals then? What happens to your purpose? They die with them. And this is very, very important to understand in relationships as well. Because two people that have got their own things in life enrich each other. Yeah? And this is very important when you write your personal goals for why you're having a business. You can have your internal goals because it's where I get to find out my own Mount Everest, where I get to climb my own Mount Everest. Yeah? Or it allowed me, I compete in master athletics, where I'm preparing my body to compete in master athletics in the age group 55 to 60. And I'd love to compete in Spain at the Masters Olympics. My body's still adjusting from soccer life to a sprinting life. So it's taking me a while. I'm picking up a lot of injuries and soreness. But, it's my personal goal that if I have a business, it allows me to travel and do that. Understand your purpose of why, your personal purpose of why you're growing a business. Because, we get what we practice on most. So if you keep practicing and saying to yourself, this is why I'm doing it, this is why I'm doing it, it will happen. Yeah? And you action it. It's really, really important. So understand your personal and where you want to grow. The next part of purpose is your life purpose. What is your life purpose? Do you all know your life purpose? And your life purpose, talking to Alan and Nikki earlier on, our life purpose comes from something really we want to resolve within ourselves, and we want to go on to help people that have got the same challenges as well. And we've mastered it in ourselves first, and then we go on to help other people. This is really important in business leadership because it starts to get you in alignment with who you are. Yeah? It's very, very important because you start to perform at your peak. You start to perform at levels you never, ever realized you could do. So what is your life purpose? Growing up, my mum spoilt me rotten. Yeah, I didn't have to do anything to get love. I was a spoilt child. My mum adored me. Yeah? So that means when growing up, I grew up a lot in my feminine energy. And do you guys know about masculine and feminine energy? Yeah? So I mentor a lot of young guys who are stuck in their feminine energy, who really know that there's something deep inside them that they want to go out and express. But they're stuck in this lethargy. People accuse them of being lazy or what. And then I work with women who are stuck in their masculine energy because they see receiving love as reward. They have to do something to get love. So I didn't have to get love growing up. But my sister had to do a lot of things to get love. Clean this, do that. And so she started it. She's gone into a masculine energy. Now I had to really consciously work at it to become more focused, to become more decisive, to become more results orientated, which is the masculine energy. Yeah? The feminine energy is more nurturing, it's more creative, the healthier side of it. So you've got to understand what your purpose is. So when I'm really working with that deep down, because it's something I resolved within myself, yeah? And having those honest conversations with young guys who are a massive crossroads in their life and they're stuck. Yeah, so is anyone getting this? Or am I going a bit off? Yeah? Does anyone recognize this within themselves? Especially ladies, do you feel like you're stuck in your masculine energy a lot? Yeah? So what is your life purpose? What is it you want to help your community with? Because at the end of the day, it's about going into the community and making your community a better place. It's never really about ourselves. Can you imagine when we were hunter-gatherers going out hunting and we only caught what we needed and brought it back and cooked it and sat in a corner and ate it for ourselves? How long would we last in that community? But as a society, that's what we've become. We've become very inward, selfish. Get the food, get the car, get the house, and just live in our own little pockets. But that's not how we're designed. We're designed to live in a community. We're designed to support each other. So the deep purpose within you, how can you introduce that into the community and make it a better place? This is business leadership. This is understanding yourself at a deep level, yeah? And it might take a while to get there, but it's in you, it's in all of us. You all have a gift, and that gift comes from a pain. And the next one is your business purpose. What is your business purpose? So mine is to help business leaders perform at their peak. So when we start to understand purpose, we start to look at it so much differently from just go out there, start a business, get going, and earn some money. You know, we're having a conversation earlier about culture. When you start to move in this area, it's amazing how the culture starts to develop. And you start to create a personality in your business that attracts people to you, that actually they feel really at home in this business. You know, if you've got someone who's got a family-orientated business, because that's their energy type, but they bring in a Ferrari salesman, there's going to be a disconnection. And if you get the family-orientated family man, salesperson who works in that business and put them in the Ferrari demographic, they're going to feel out of their zone. So it's really, really important you start to understand what your purpose is from this level. And this gives you such a sense of whatever stress comes at you, you know I'm in my zone. It's really, really important to understand that. The second part of inspiring business growth through purpose is profit. What do you think, why do you think from a peak performance point of view, profit is important in business? Has anyone got any, Well, you can't, well, you could break even every week. Yeah, exactly. The most important thing with performance, it gives you passion. When you start to see results and what you're doing starts to make money and go beyond, you know, paying the wages, paying the taxes, paying all the admin and the finance, you know, department and everything. Once you see that and then you're left with profit, you start to really, this is where passion comes from. Because what we're doing works. What we're doing works. And also it allows you to sleep better at night. Now sleep's really important for business leaders and elite athletes because it's where they get to rejuvenate. Yeah, I've tried meditating, it doesn't really work for me, but when I have a good night's sleep, I really function well. When I don't function so well. I have to really concentrate more in the day. But profit, when your business is making profit, you sleep better at night. And sleep's really, really important to be performing at your peak. You know, it really keeps our weight regulated, and it keeps our brain functioning really, really well for the next day's activities. So profit's really, really important. We can talk about that later on. And then there's productivity. So productivity is using your energy efficiently and your time effectively. And this is all we do when we work for a business owner. It's really that simple. Or a business leader, may I say. And it's that simple. I want to get them into peak performance. And I found this model for me. Now, if I've got a team and I know the mission of my business, do you think it helps them understand the mission of the business? If I come up and present my mission on stage, and I do this everywhere I go, I do it on the phone, I do it in a consultation, and we'll talk about that in the sales process in the second half. If you don't know the mission, your mission is your sales process. It's the pyramid of your sales process. Yet when I talk to business owners, they don't know the mission of their business. And I go, well, how do you sell? How do you create a team? It's internal and external. Yeah? The vision of the business can be internal. But really, this has got to be external. You've got to be telling the world about what you do and how you do it and why it's important to do this. Now, half of you in this room, maybe more than half of you, won't agree with me, but that's okay. I still got to talk about my mission because you might go, that's not for me. And that's great. We've deleted half the room. We can get on with the rest of the room now. You need to delete people out of your life quickly so you can get on and work with the people that really matter, that go, I want this. Is everyone understanding me? Yeah? This is business leadership. This is not a self-employed mentality where I just go to work, pick up my wages and go home. Yeah? Hang out with my mates in the pub on a Friday night and have a few beers and then start again, like the guy said on the video. Yeah? But I'm better looking then. What do you reckon, Steve? So, do you believe you can change? Hands up here who believes they can't change. That's awesome. Hands up if you believe you can change. That's fantastic. Thank you for that response. I'm here to tell you can change. And here's the evidence. I was a London taxi driver. And I was sitting in a cafe. And there was a recession in the 80s. Not the 80s, the 90s. And we were sitting around and there was all these cab drivers moaning. And I sat there and they were fairly older than me and like hunched over because they'd been like this and they didn't exercise or anything. And and I looked and I had this realization that if I stayed where I was, this was my future. And I made that decision. I remember coming out with my mate who was my training partner, ex-boxing coach, and I said to him, I'm out here. I can't do this anymore. You know, I've just seen my future in there and it's like, man, that was a wake-up call. And so I went on to study as a fitness coach, and then there are black cabs in London, and I went and bought a white cab, and then I stuck my branding on it and drove around London. When all my friends were moaning that the recession was on, I was doubling my wages. So I was just picking up clients. I had advertising in the cab, and this house is a client's where amazing house in Mill Hill, swimming pool, gym, and everything. And I'd just go around to people's houses and train them. And I had all my stuff in the side there, Swiss ball, weights, boxing pads, and I'd just go house to house and train my clients and pick them up, and I had a great life, and everyone was moaning, and I made a decision to get out of it, but I still use it, because in London you can park virtually anywhere. So I could go into Knightsbridge and all these expensive areas where I had clients and worked with actresses and blah, 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 and personal train them, and it was great. So while they were still moaning, I did something about it. We can, sit and moan, or we can take action and go, I'm out of here. My wages went down massively. I stopped driving. I was at college. Then I worked in a rugby league team, working with the athletes that when they got injured, I was then the fitness coach that got their confidence back, got them moving well, and then they were introduced back into the squad. So that was my work experience, and it was great, but the money was crap. But my money went down, but my happiness went up. My happiness went up. And I got a lot of experience from that, whereas now I still talk to cab drivers that are still cab drivers all these years later, and they're massive divorces, they're in massive debt because they've just spiraled down and down and down and down and down. And we're designed to evolve as human beings, and they weren't evolving. They stayed in the same industry too long. So, but there's a lady that called Eleanor Maguire, and she's a neuroscience at UCL, University College London, and she was studying squirrels and jaybirds. And what happened was they would bury their food for ages, weeks, months, and then they would find it again. And so she was studying their brain, and they had part of their brain that was overdeveloped compared to other mammals and birds. And it was called the hippocampus. And so what she did was she went, well, where in humans do we do this as well? And she came up with cab drivers, because you start from a 6-mile radius or a 10-kilometer radius from Charing Cross, and you've got to learn everything in that 10-kilometer radius either way. You've got to learn theatres, and not only that, but you've got to learn the route out of it. You can't just do a U-turn where there's no U-turn. So when I was doing the knowledge, I had to get on my little moped, drive around London, and find all these little places, and then legally drive the person. So we'd get tested. We'd sit in there with an ex-policeman, sitting there with a stern face, and he goes, take me from Walthamstow Dogs to Charing Cross Station. And I had to legally name it all the way. First of all, I had to say where I stopped. So I had to legally take them on this journey. Now, what happened was, when they studied guys on the knowledge before they were taxi drivers, at the beginning they scanned their brains, and then they scanned their brains when they finished the knowledge, and then they were cab drivers for a while. This part of the brain actually grew and became more active. So my spatial awareness and my memory has got really, really strong. So I'm living evidence to tell you you can change when you go on a journey. Yeah, this is proven facts, from this. So believe that you can change. Now I want to talk to you about understanding how you can perform in it. Has anyone got any questions? All right. Okay. Where's the challenge for you by asking that? Right, when you're working with an athlete, or if they're very, I might have to explain this from in 1978 there was these Sorrentino and Shepard, two sports psychologists. They did this research around motivation and situational factors, and so what they did was they wanted to get a really good relay team together of women in the 50 meters. And they thought, right, just get the fastest swimmers, put them in the relay team, and that's it. It's your answer. But it never transpired that way. And then they would look at the people. So when they swam on their own as individuals, they would hit faster times than when they swam in a group. Now, what's going on here is some people are motivated by social approval, and some people are motivated by avoiding social rejection. Yeah. So you have to understand where you're coming from when you're being motivated. Yeah. Are you looking for social approval, or are you avoiding social rejection? Now you'll find that a lot of players will go into single sports like badminton, tennis, and they end up in that place, but they still end up having to build a team around them. But ultimately, you're looking at what drives you. And so what happens with someone who's seeking approval, and you might have heard this with your friends or anything, you might have heard that someone goes, I really wanted to, why did you do that? Well, so-and-so said I couldn't do it. Have you ever heard that? So I wanted to prove them wrong. Yeah? So they're looking for social approval. Now this is an unhealthy pattern, because you could actually kill yourself trying to prove someone else wrong, when really the other person just doesn't really give a shit. Yeah? But there's something going on in your mind where you're looking for social approval. Is this making sense? You following me? Yeah? So you've got to understand the motivation. So when someone's stuck in their masculine energy like that, they're going for the result, they're going for the result, they're going for the result, they will basically avoid going into their feminine energy, which is about rest and recover and rejuvenation. So they go hard. Do we all know people like that? And some of us in this room might be like, they go hard, and they act like heroes. Yeah? But what happens is they actually really, really damage their health. Yeah? Because they're looking for social approval. Now, peak performance, you've got avoiding social rejection, and you've got looking for social approval. Peak performance sits in the middle. Thank you for asking this question, because that's what I mean about honouring the room. So peak performance sits in the middle because peak performance is about consistency, yeah, and reliability. So write this down. It's about consistency. I think I've spelt that right. And reliability. Now, I really want you to think about this from a business leadership point of view. If I perform well in the relay team, because I'm not looking for approval from anyone else, and then I come over here in my single lane and I perform well on my own, because I'm not worried about social rejection, because I've got high self-esteem, am I going to be consistent in both races? Am I going to hit my times? Yeah? So as a peak performer, this is what we're trying to get the athlete to do. Now let's look at it from a business leadership point of view. If you're consistent as a leader, what's your team going to think? Yeah? If you're reliable as a leader, what's your team going to think? Let's flip it. If you've got a team around you that consistently perform well, how are you going to sleep at night? Yeah? If you've got a team that you can rely on, how are you going to sleep at night? Can you go on holiday and relax? But it first has to be within you. It first has to be, I was none of these things. I've had to really, really work at it. Yeah? And I'm saying it's within you all, but first you need to find your purpose. It's very, very difficult to find consistency without something that has meaning in your life. Yeah? Because money is a big black hole that if you just keep going after it, that will never bring you fulfillment. It'll bring you some great things, and it'll help you look after your health more. But it ultimately won't bring you fulfillment, because money's a tool. And I'll talk about that, the psychology from a guy called Brad Klontz that has written a book called Mind Over Money. I'll talk about that in the second section. But here, and now if you're consistent and you're reliable, what ultimately happens is, and you know your personal purpose, you know your life purpose, and you know your business purpose, what happens is you become a decisive decision maker. If I spell this wrong, please, decisive. Maker. Do you think that's good business leadership? Now, you might make a lot of mistakes, but that's okay, because you make the mistakes and you learn. We never ever learn anything from winning. There's a saying in sport, winners celebrate, losers have meetings. So it's very, very important to understand that when you lose, you actually learn. I think Steve was talking about someone in the company that, this is ultimately your greatest growth spurt about to come. Who was that person in the room that had the business that didn't win a contract? That was Steve. Okay, well, I don't need to tell Steve this, he already knows it, but it's that, you know what, you get a client comes to you, or you're in a meeting with a client and they're bagging out a customer. And I'm saying to him, that customer's about to take your business to the next level. How do we deal with stress? Just had a meeting with a client. I've just been hit with a big, big tax bill. Great. That means your business is doing well. Yeah? Problem, overwhelm, can't handle it. Yeah? Or deadline. That's where stress comes from. So let's look at it from this. By getting that big tax bill and worried about paying it, we could actually go, well, let's fix the problem quickly. What happened that you didn't see this coming? And how can we implement that in the business? Yeah? We need massive problems to have massive success. You can't have little problems and have massive success. Yeah? So when you're stressed out, you're going to the next level. Stress is our best friend. Think about it. Stress is our best friend. So you become consistent, you become reliable, and you become a decisive decision maker. How does that help you in your business? Yeah? So consistency in your systems, consistency in your marketing, consistency in your sales process, consistency in the way you talk to your team, consistency in your meetings. Yeah? People start to become reliable, and then better decisions are made. So I don't think I answered your question about masculine and feminine energy, though. Yeah, so it's masculine energy is when we're so driven. Oh, we've got to keep going, we've got to keep going, we've got to, but deep down there's a need for approval. Yeah? And you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop because, and I think someone said it drops off and there's no, but what happens is you're terrified of your feminine side of you as a man. You don't want to confront that side of you for whatever reason. It's the nurturing side, it's the creative side, it's the vulnerable side. Yeah? And when we're as men, if we can't be vulnerable with our partners, with our children, with our friends, we're missing out on a big part of life. And it's ultimately where we go and rejuvenate. Yeah, so when I'm talking with young guys, they get to come and they get to be vulnerable with me. And that's okay. Is that making sense? You have to have the masculine and the... Now, men are driven more with their masculine energy because we produce more testosterone. Women produce more estrogen. So from a physiology point of view, you know, we can go for longer being driven. But there comes a point where we have to take our foot off the pedal, rest, recover, rejuvenate, reward. Yeah. So there's some athletes that won't have massages. There's some athletes that won't speak to a sports psychologist. They think it's all poppycock. It's for wusses. I mean, I'm sure you've been around guys like this, you know, ladies and gentlemen. You've been around guys, and it's probably some of you in this room as well. But if you're not going to rejuvenate your body, how then do you go out and perform well? Yeah, and it's those guys that master their masculine and feminine energy that can play out a whole season. And their decision making is better in the last 10 minutes of a game when big games are won and lost. Yeah, your decision making as a business leader at the end of the day is better because you've mastered your masculine and feminine energy. I see a few puzzled faces. Is there any more questions around this? Yeah? Am I hitting a nerve with any of you? Because I hope so. Because we're coaches, that's what we're supposed to do. We're not here to be liked. Yes, gentlemen. No. There's healthy masculine energy and there's unhealthy masculine. So, yeah. Yeah. Great question. So the feminine energy is about receiving. So what will happen, you have to meet both needs. So what will happen is you've got confidence and you've got self-esteem. We've got self-esteem, and up here you've got 10, and up here you've got 1. Okay, so your self-esteem is this line here, from 1 to 10, and confidence goes up and down in life. So let's say confidence, we can all be really good at what we're doing when we're confident. Yeah, when the sun's shining and there's no rain and everything's going our way, we're all fucking great leaders, aren't we? We are, aren't we? Let's be honest. But you only find out leadership skills when it's down here, when your confidence is low. That consistency, that reliability, and that decisive decision making. Now, but what happens is when your confidence is low, how you treat yourself will depend on where your self-esteem is. So if your self-esteem is low, you'll need to receive by probably drinking alcohol. Yeah? Numbing yourself. Taking drugs. Yeah? Extramarital sex. You'll need to go somewhere to satisfy that need. Yeah? But it's unresourceful. Is that making sense? You're going to have to meet it, but are you meeting it in a healthy way, or are you meeting it in an unhealthy way? So, just because someone's got a lot of money, I mean, they've built a great business, does not mean they've got high self-esteem. In fact, many cases they've got low self-esteem because they needed their net worth to be attached to their self-worth. You take away their net worth, they crumble. Yeah? No one will know your body better than you. We're all different here. Yeah. And there's a lot of illness, isn't there, in society? There's a lot of... Can you give me an example? Because obviously you're talking about someone, you've got someone in your mind. Okay. You can talk. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. And I really respect what you're saying. My mum, my father was a very masculine man, and he became an alcoholic, and he went downhill, became very feminine. And my mum took over and became the breadwinner. She became very masculine. At that moment, I lost my dad and I lost my mother, even though they were still alive. So I recognize what you're saying. So it's very, very important that you start to ask yourself these questions. What am I doing this for? Because if you kill yourself on the journey, panic attack, high anxiety, yeah? What patterns are you running to do that? And who are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? Fantastic. Yeah. Ultimately, you're trying to prove something. Who are you trying to prove it to? Yeah. Yeah. Who else? Yeah. Do you want your kids to be healthy? Do you want them to have panic attacks and anxiety? Yeah, you're their role model. You've got to start taking ownership of it as a parent. You've got to start thinking like a leader. People don't follow what we say. They follow what we do. Yeah? Yeah. Well, I think when you've got people like Stephen in the room, and there's certain, we can go into a coaching session, but I don't think it's not the right setup for it. And I want to honour your privacy as well. We can resolve that within you. Yeah. All the time. That is a great. The thing is, when you've got high self-esteem, when you get up in the morning, the first thing you focus on is your health. You know that you're the machine. You're a system. You are a system. Like your business is a system, you want your liver, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your spleen, your arms, your shoulders, your arse, your legs, your ankles. You want them running well. Yeah? Remember, you don't want to get to the end of your business career and use all that money to pay for your health that you destroyed on the journey. Yeah? You change your strategies that you're running now, and we can help you do that, and you'll be a different role model to your children. But you should not be doing it for your children. You should be doing it because you like who you are, because you respect yourself, because ultimately that's what you want your children to do. We're not here really to love our children. We're here to bring them up to be strong, independent people that can look after our community. That's what leadership is about. That's what real love is. Yeah? You want them to learn to fend for themselves, because one day you won't be here. And along that way, have great memories. But when that kid's crying in the cot because all it wants to do is come in bed with you, and you don't get a good night's sleep as a leader, and you can't have great sex with your partner because that baby is winning the psychological battle, how are you going to lead a high-performance team when you go into the workplace? You have to be a leader at home. I went for a consultation with in someone's house that I was going to work with, and I knocked on the doorbell, rang the doorbell, heard this dog barking, scratching at the door, blah, blah, blah. Guy opened the door, hi, Jerome, come in, blah, blah, blah. And the dog was jumping all over me, right? And lovely, and then he had to drag him, put him in the laundry room, close the door, and the dog was scratching and barking while we're having a conversation. I noticed some pictures on the wall. His family on the side and everything. And after I built up some rapport with him, we had a lovely conversation, got to know him a bit better. I said, tell me about the challenges you're having with your children. He said, funny you should say that. I said, it's not fucking funny. You can't look after a dog. And he wanted to talk about the challenges he's having in his business. So it comes back to, you've got to be a leader everywhere. You've got to have purpose everywhere. You've got to be consistent everywhere. You've got to be reliable everywhere. You've got to be a good, decisive decision maker everywhere. Your kids are here to make you healthier, not unhealthier. They bring richness into our life. They teach us more than we'll ever teach them. Yeah? All we got to do is listen and talk to them, because they come from pure innocence. Listen to your children. They want a healthy mum. They want a great role model. Yeah? They want to be inspired. They want to see you live a purposeful life, because that's what you're teaching them. Go out and live your life. And number one thing in that is your health. Yeah. Start loving yourself. Yeah. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, but it shows in our actions, not what we say. It shows in our actions. Great leadership is shown in actions. It's never shown in what someone says. It's never shown. We can all stand up here on stage and blah, blah, blah. But if I'm not going to act this out, it doesn't mean jack shit, does it? We've got to own up, look in the mirror and go, how do I lead ultimately a healthy life? How do I confront my demons and move through them? How do I use stress as my elevator, not my de-elevator? It's really, really important. How long have we got, Stephen, in this segment? 10 minutes. I'm going to have a little bit of fun. Has anyone got any more questions? Because I really want to honour the room. You know, if you've got a question and you want it resolved and we can do it, we'll do it. Is everyone okay? Yeah? Brilliant. So what I want to do is have some fun. I forgot to ask your name. Apologies. Rabia. Beautiful name, Rabia. What we're going to do, we're going to have some fun. So, as I said, became a fitness coach. So when you're working with an athlete, you're taking them, I call it the clock, and this is how I design my business model as well. So you're taking them through this clock. Now, I want you, let's go through it, okay? Do you think stamina is good in business if you've got a 3, 5, 10-year vision? Yeah? 12 quarters, 20 quarters, yeah? 40 quarters. Yeah, okay. I want you to rate your stamina on a level of 1 being the least and 10 being the most. So let's look at a thing. I can run with my friend, I can jog with my friend for 1 kilometer and have a normal conversation while jogging. That's your barometer. Where would you rate on that? with your stamina? Huh? Write it down. Just write it down. Put stamina. Doesn't matter. Just be honest with yourself. We need a starting place. When you're analysing a business or you're analysing someone's fitness, you need to know where they are today. So just write it down. Stamina. Can I jog with my friend at a steady pace and have a conversation? Yeah? 1 being the least, I can't do it. 10 being really comfortable. Yeah, physical, yeah, stamina. The body and the mind is one thing, yeah? When the body goes, the mind goes. When an elite athlete at the lot is fatigued and tired, his decision-making skills will go. Just be honest, it's just having a bit. Strength, so let's look at strength. Can you handle your own body weight? Could you lift your own body weight comfortably? If I put your body weight on a barbell, got you to lie down, could you lift it once and put it back on the bar comfortably? 1 being the least, 10 being the easiest. The hardest, 1 being the hardest, 10 being the easiest. Let's look at strength endurance. So we half your body weight. How many reps do you think could you do 20 of those reps of your half body weight? 20 of them comfortably, and then put it back on the bar while having a conversation with your trainer. Half your body weight. Yeah, well, you've got to handle you. That's the thing. You've got to handle you. You haven't got to handle anyone else. Only you get yourself out of bed. Only you get yourself up off the floor. So let's look at power. How fast can you move your body? How quick can you move your body in one shift, in one movement over 10 yards? Power. That power to generate your own body weight. 10 being the most comfortable, 1 being the hardest. Let's look at your flexibility. It's different kinds of flexibility tests, but let's look at where you can touch your toes. Can you touch your toes very, very comfortably? Just start rating yourself. 10 being the easiest, 1 being the hardest. Balance. Right side of your body, left side of your body. Can you stand on one leg very comfortably and then stand on the other side very comfortably and do some movements? So as I'm going through my sprint training and masters, a lot of technique work, I have to be answering a lot of these questions, and I have to be getting them up to the 10s. What about mobility? So range of movement for each joint, you know? 10 being the easiest, 1 being the most difficult. And your reaction times. It's interesting working with an old client in England. We really worked a lot on their reaction times, catching balls in different directions, back turning, because their reaction times were really slow. And by just exercising and doing that, it saved them in a car accident, because we improved their peripheral vision and their reaction to it. It's amazing, isn't it, when we look after our body, how it can save our lives. It is our machine. It is our system. And as a business leader, if you've got a really good internal system, guess what you're going to have in your business? Yeah? Because like is attracted to like. Yep. Speed. You know, if you were to do 50-meter sprint, what would your times be like? We would look at that. In business leadership, you want to move quite quickly. Things changing all the time. And sometimes your body is a reflection of what's going on in your mind. And it's all about confidence. And if you can't do these things 8, 9 out of 10, your confidence is not going to be as high generally as some if they're 2s, 3s, and 4s. Yeah? Especially when it comes to very stressful situations. And then number 10 is coordination. That's where you bring everything together. So if you're playing tennis or something, you're looking at all those as a fitness coach. And you want to get your client or the athlete 10 out of 10 in all those areas. You know, and you know then that their confidence is really rising. In fact, you have to slow them down because they're so eager to get out there, but the injury might not have recovered enough for them to do that. But over time, you're looking at their movements, you're looking at their body language, you're looking at what they're saying, you're looking at how they're interacting with their teammates. They'll interact differently than when their confidence is low. So let's see, who got 100%? Stephen? I knew it. There's always has to be one in the room. He's beat me. Who got 90 out of 100? Go, Jonathan. Who got 80? Go, Brian. Who got 70%? Who got 60%? Who got 50%? Oh, good. Who got 40%? Good. Who got 30%? And who got 20%? Who got 1%? You know what? I just love the honesty. It's your own journey. We're just using it as a barometer. Yeah? It's just something to build off and just to open up, and you probably learned something through this and went, you know what? How would I improve as a business leader if I started working on these 10 things? You know? And just take one step at a time. Could be a 12-month goal to get these 10 out of 10. And the most important thing when you're doing this, when you work with the athletes, you've got to be having fun. In that circle should be fun. Because they're all different. So you have to do different things with different athletes or my private clients because they're different personalities. They like doing different things. So with someone, I might have to do pad work with them because they love the boxing. With another person, they like sprint training, so I have to do sprint training with them. The most important thing is we get the results. But you listen to the person and how they're going to enjoy the experience. Rest, recover, rejuvenate, reward. Yeah? If you're not enjoying the process of getting anywhere in life, you're missing out on a lot of life. So it's really, really important. How are we, Megan? Are we over, or is Stephen coming through now? Yeah, so just this segment, it was more personal. I mean, and in the second segment, we'll go into the business and how we take our business leadership into the hemisphere. I think it's better to build an empire than it is to build a business, because even if you shortfall of an empire, you probably would have hit bigger goals if you just wanted to build a business. What do you reckon, Steve?
True. Very, very true.
You're building an empire, aren't you?
I'm trying my best, mate. I'm trying my best. Give him a big round of applause.